This week we have a weird coincidence. We've actually covered two films in a row with John Gallagher Jr. in. It wasn't planned. With last week's Belko Experiment and this, I didn't even realise that he was in this until I looked. I went, oh wait, that's the same guy. So there you go, weird confluence of events. Weird things do happen. But this is a look at 2016's Hush with Kate Siegel and, of course, John Gallagher Jr. It is not so much a normal analysis, if you will. It's not the usual type of analysis that I do. It's more about how it uses the characterization as a narrative tool and as a very interesting cinematic tool as well to help us, I think, understand her plight and the plight of those like her. Because, of course, the character of Maddie is deaf since the age of about 13 after a bacterial infection, and then after surgery to try and correct it, which really didn't work. She's had to obviously adjust to that. Her life has changed dramatically, and I do think it was a great idea. It's a great narrative tool, like I say. The fact that occasionally we are in that position of being with her, in the fact that we can't hear anything. We can see perfectly fine, but we just can't hear anything. And the moments that it allows us to experience that with her, like I say, I think really highlights the plight. We take it for granted. I mean, deafness and hearing impairment is a sort of fairly normal and accepted disability these days. We do know that this is a thing that people have in the same way as blindness and visual impairments. But it is interesting to use it as a storytelling device and a cinematic device. But it is a great thing on its own because it does kind of turn the slasher trope on its head of, couldn't you just see that? Couldn't you hear that? Couldn't you really just pay attention to your environment and know that there's a crazy person stalking you? Well, in this scenario, we're given one reason why she can't. Particularly if, he's out of line of sight, and early on when she doesn't even know that he's a threat, she's not going to hear it, because she can't. And again, those are the kind of moments that we're brought into her world, the moments that we would be screaming at the television in any other slasher film. But the man is a very weird character because we don't really get much on him either. He's just, a kind of faceless attacker. Obviously at one point, she's like, well, I didn't see anything, I obviously can't hear. My boyfriend's coming, I promise you, I won't tell anything about it.
You've seen it now, haven't you?
And it shows that in many ways they both have some kind of issues. Obviously, we've got Maddie's deafness, but we've also then got, some kind of sociopathy, maybe psychopathy in the man. And, whilst I think with Maddie, she's got a greater understanding and a better way of going, well, this is my life now, how do I adjust to it? His mental state has just made him just not care. He just wants his thrill, he wants his fun, he wants to murder. And I think the first one we see is brilliantly done, because, again, it plays with the idea of, well, couldn't you hear it? Well, no. When Sarah's coming and trying to get help as she's being stalked and then, kills right in front of us, but behind Maddie, who can't hear it. And this is what I think keys the man in. He's like, wait a minute, she can't hear this, what's going on? And obviously it's only a bit later on that is proven. And the plot's allowed to continue. We do see these interesting ideas brought to the fore. I think it was a very daring move, because when you're, I think, looking at disabilities, for narrative or cinematic devices, you do run the risk of, the white knights striding in. 95% of the time, it's not the people with a certain problem who stride in going, that's not right. There is the 5%, I'm not saying that people don't ever do it when, they have a justified reason, because they experience that. But a lot of the time you do have the white knights kind of striding in going, no, you can't do that, that's offensive. And you've got the people with the issues and conditions going, actually, no, I find that perfectly fine. This is not an issue. So I do think it was a very daring move, but it paid off. I think it could have just been a very boring slasher film without it, but the fact that it uses the that narrative tool so well and sets up the atmosphere, and you really feel worried and concerned and scared for Maddie. You really want her to come out of this okay. And, you know, it's only through using, again, this disability, this issue she has as a strength, that she does actually overpower him. And I think that's also helped in people not sort of slamming the film, saying it's exploiting a certain condition. Because, of course, towards the end, you know, the guy's in there, she's really at risk here, you know, she's already shot him with a crossbow in the shoulder, well done, you know, and things like that, you know, she's tried to get the upper hand as best as she can in the same way that anyone else could in one of these films. She's used the tools that everyone else has, but it's only really when she uses the tools that she herself has, and of course those who have the hearing issues to that degree, you know, where she can have the fire alarm go off. She can set that off, and he is now deafened. He's at a disadvantage, but she's used to not hearing it. All she's seeing is strobing and, you know, the lights and things, but he's now lost a sense that he's not gotten used to, and that's the key difference. You know, they both technically are on a level playing field, you'd argue at the end. They both cannot hear. Every other sense is kind of functioning, but she's used to it. She knows what it's like to be in that silent world, or that unable to discern certain noises world, which is really, I suppose, what he's experiencing more. And I just think it's a great tool. It's a great way of showing it, you know, that she has learned to adapt. She is now using what some would consider as a lessening, if you will, of her, as an actual strengthening, as boosting. And she does overcome him. You know, and I think the shot at the end says it all. You know, she sat there stroking the cat, just quite, you know, content as the police arrive, just with a smile on her face, because she knows that she's got through it. Yes, she's lost a friend and, you know, the friend's partner. You know, I do want to quickly touch on that. I think that was great as well, of the man's character, when Sarah's boyfriend comes up and, you know, he's saying, "Oh, I'm a police officer," and things like that. And, you know, obviously it's seen through. It's like, no, you're not. You know, and he overpowers him. You know, I think that was great acting, because we could see John Gallagher Jr.'s switch, his ability to be really, really nice and friendly, and then just turn and just basically bash him around the head with a rock and stuff. You know, it's great acting all round. You know, I think everyone really did bring their best to this, and like I say, it really sold it. You know, this story, which, like I say, some people may see as exploitative of a condition, of an illness, but I see as strengthening. I see as praising the uniqueness. And I think that's the real big thing to take away. Throughout life, you know, most of us have at least come in contact with a vast variety of illnesses and people, you know, who have certain conditions that limit their ability to live in the same way that most people would expect to. And a lot of the time, you know, we think, oh, poor them, you know, oh, how hard must their life be? But that's only furthering, like, the idea of othering people. I think we need to recognise that sometimes these can be used as strengths. They can be used as positives. They can be used as things that can make people see the world in a different way, a better way, and make people want to do good. I wonder if Maddie would have been a writer had she not lost her hearing at the age of 13. You know, would she have been able to fight off an attacker? Because Sarah couldn't. And Sarah had all of her senses. So I don't think disabilities and disabled people and conditions, you know, make it worse. I just think it's different, and different is usually a good thing. So until next time, as always, take care.